We are live. Hey, everybody, welcome to the VRaaS Cast Live number 6. My name is Mohammed. I'm with Austin VR Lab. We're happy that you're joining us today. We're going to give some time for people to come in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe so that way we can interact with you and answer any questions you have. Today is Monday. Monday is our VR News Day, and it's when we talk about virtual reality and the latest and greatest technologies in VR. So glad you were able to join us today. We do have sound. Some of our past Vrascasters, we're still trying to figure all this out so we can bring you the best possible live cast and stream. And sometimes the mic doesn't work, so that's kind of what happened last Friday if you tuned in. So we will be redoing that one where we're flying around Google Earth. That way you can actually have some audio this time. Again, thank you everyone for joining us on the Vrascast Live, brought to you by Austin VR Lab. So Austin VR Lab, we started out as a content creation company. We were creating our own VR content, and then back in 2016 when we launched the company, what we found is once we got everything from the Google Cardboard to PC based VR, we found that there was a lack to access and education in the VR hardware market space. So how are you going to get content to people if they don't have the hardware to view it on? And then there were so many other great content creators, and we wanted to share this work. So we took a step back and we decided, hey, where can we best serve the virtual reality industry? And what we decided to do is we coined the term virtual reality as a service, also known as VRaaS. Now, a lot of you probably have heard of software as a service, SaaS. Well, we wanted to take a version of that and make it applicable to virtual reality. So, how does virtual reality apply to your industry? Whether that is you're an artist, whether you're an architect, sometimes architects are artists, I do think so, but everyone from construction engineers, in the hospital setting, in the manufacturing setting, virtual reality basically can touch every single industry. And in these modern times, times where COVID has actually taken some people out of the workplace, it's needed more than ever where you can have a virtual presence. And what we're going to find is virtual reality is really going to accelerate people into a new way of working. And Austin VR Lab, there's so many possibilities in virtual reality. We wanted to create a place where our clients and our followers could have a one-stop solution. So we say so many possibilities, one solution, Austin VR Lab. So if we could help you out with any of your virtual reality needs, be sure to visit us at austinvrlab.com. We would love the opportunity to get to know you and figure out what your VR needs are and get you the latest and greatest hardware, software that best serves your needs. One thing with VR is there's not just one system and there's not just one way of doing it. You can go from graphics cards to processors. You have different levels of virtual reality headsets. You have AR, augmented reality. You have VR, which is virtual reality. And you have XR, which is extreme reality, which is a combination of the two. And there's so many layers to this industry that it always pays to have an expert on your side. So that's kind of a little bit about Austin VR Lab and what we do in helping bring VR and XR and AR out to the world. And that is where what we aim to provide. And so, again, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into the latest and greatest of what virtual reality has to offer today. So we're going to go ahead and look at the Varjo's big announcement of the XR and VR3 headset. Now, Varjo's is a company that provides industrial level headsets with, everything from 4K per eye to 8K per eye. They have all different headsets for industrial use. As you can see here, we are on their website and we're going to go a little bit through their new big announcement, which was the XR and VR3 headset. So let's go ahead and scroll through here and take a look at the new XR3 headset. So what are we talking about when we're talking about XR versus VR? So VR is you're in a virtual space with 6 degrees of freedom. You're able to move around with tracking, being able to track you if you followed some of our previous videos where we talked about mobile VR, something you can maybe do in a standalone headset or do with your even your mobile phone, place it to a Google Cardboard. that's one of those VR experiences where you're just present and you're viewing and you're able to move around, turn your head, and the environment on the screen responds to that. And it gives you a sense of presence. Now, 6 degrees of freedom means you are actually moving around in the space and interacting with it and being tracked, whether it's outside in tracking or inside out tracking, meaning your headset is using cameras to track your space, or you're using base stations or lighthouses as and they're tracking devices that bounce infrared beams off of your devices and track you from the outside in. Now 6 degrees of freedom almost always, if it's not standalone with inside out tracking, there's the Oculus Quest, but almost always the majority of headsets require a powerful PC to operate them, and that's another thing that we like to provide here at Austin VR Lab. We're not tied to any one computer company. If you already have, a relationship with Dell or IBM, we're able to help you figure out which computer is right for your needs based on what headsets you're going to be using. And so when we're talking about the XR3 today, we're going to look at its PC requirements and what you're going to need to operate it. Another beautiful thing about Austin VR Lab is because we share our VR technology and experiences, you're going to get the best of every world. So as these graphics cards, processors, RAMs, headset requirements upgrade, so will your systems at Austin VR Lab through our leasing and retainer program. So we're basically able to provide you the latest and greatest equipment as it comes out. We're super excited about the Varjo XR-3 because this sense of extreme reality is where it's going to use a pass-through camera and LiDAR technology. LiDAR is laser scanning, basically where you're able to where a sensor shoots a laser out, shoots it back to the headset or back to the camera, and it's able to track depth in 3D. And that 3D scan is what's going to give you depth in that extreme reality. So when you're layering VR and XR and AR over each other, it's going to give you XR. And we're going to take a look at what that actually looks like here, and we'll look at it through the Varios headset. So let's talk about some of the basic things. The XR and VR Vario 3 are going to overlap a little bit. Vario claims they have achieved a 12 megapixel low latency pass-through camera with human eye resolution. So basically, what you're seeing in front of you, it looks like your hand is there without there being a screen there. I think is what they mean when they say human eye resolution, where it's not like you're looking at a screen, but you're getting that depth perception and you're getting that almost photorealistic version of your hand live. Um, they also say they have the highest resolution across their full 115 degrees of field of view. So field of view is how much you're having to turn and how wide your space is of what you're viewing. And then their PPD is phenomenal. With their PPD stands for pixels per degree. Here they're talking about pixels perfect depth awareness because they're using their LiDAR. Their LiDAR is matching the space in front of you and placing pixels where pixels need to go and don't need to go. That's where you're looking at the 3 cameras here on in the front. You're looking, one's probably your camera, one's your infrared sensor, and one is your LiDAR sensor. And then they also claim natural interactions with integrated eye tracking and the Ultra Leap hand tracking. So this is a VR headset that's going to be able to track your hands in space, so you won't always have to use a VR controller. Now, normally you can use, a Vive Pro controller, you can use an Xbox controller. There's different controllers you can use in VR, but what's better than your hands, removing a piece? So Ultra Leap is a fantastic hand tracking company. It looks like that they have integrated this into the headset, so now you'll be able to pinch and zoom and grab things in VR and be able to track your hands in VR. So we're really excited to see how the software is going to work in conjunction with the Varios and how we're going to be able to implement that in things like medical training or just training in general. It also has inside out tracking. So the XR tracking is going to be able to track you using the cameras and not need base stations. Now, this is interesting because previous companies, you need a lot of external light for that tracking to work. And so it's going to be interesting to see how Varios is going to combine their ultra leap, their inside out tracking into this super demanding headset, and how the computer processors will be affected as a result. So let's go ahead and we'll explore the Varjo XR3, and then we'll talk about the VR3 as well. Um, so the XR3, of course, some of the things we've already talked about, the photorealistic true to life mixed reality, says it's the industry's highest resolution, over 70 ppd. That's pixels per degree. That's how many pixels you're getting in every degree of movement. The widest ever color gamut, matches 99% RGB and 93% DCI-P3 color space. And so that's going to give you those photorealistic scenes. So when you're blending reality and virtual reality, it's almost seamless and you won't be able to see a difference. They do have a quick video showing that coming up. Of course, we already talked about the depth awareness that they're using with their LiDAR for, a 3D experience once you're inside of it. And, of course, the hand tracking. And so let's go ahead and take a look. So this is a rendering of what it would look like inside your headset. So you get that 3D map, you get that 3D LiDAR sensing, and so it's going to track your space around you, but then also bring the virtual world and combine it into what you're seeing inside the headset. And with, of course, their high resolution screens at 70 ppd, combining LiDAR. So the robot's further back, the headset's closer to you as you move your hand through that space, and the camera is tracking your hand via the camera, but also through the Ultra Leap sensor. It looks like you'll be able to really get what is true XR, which is a true augmented reality experience where you're combining a VR headset and you're combining a virtual world with a real world experience. So that human eye resolution, and it says, it's going to set the new industry standard. So Varios has always been a leader in that space, and so we're definitely excited to see what that's going to look like. Now, a product that you might have seen that's comparable to this headset is the HoloLens. HoloLens gives you that augmented reality filter over reality, but what we call it XR, that is up to someone's opinion. And so this right here shows you a little bit of a difference as we slide this slider across here. So you're looking at the HoloLens, where it's almost kind of like a see-through pass through the opacity, but when you add that extreme PPD that Varios is promising here, you can see here you get a lot more solidity of the object in front of you because it's using a combination of cameras and LiDAR. And man, we can't wait to get our hands on this headset and show you what it looks like once we're inside. We are in line to order one as soon as possible, but who knows? Maybe Varios will catch wind of this and send us one ahead of time. Um, but fingers crossed. So let's keep moving down here. How are you going to apply this XR technology? What's compatible with it? Of course, Unity, Unreal Engine, Autodesk with VRed, amazing program. We're able to take basically buildings and skyscrapers and put them out in front of us and be able to walk and travel through buildings that we're building. In fact, we're going to do some of that in Revit this Wednesday, so be sure to tune in. We're going to show you some projects that we're working on with some local developers here in Austin to help bring this technology to them. We will be using one of our headsets and we'll be able to show you how you can enter a 2D, 3D model of a building in virtual reality. So we're really excited to share that with you. Be sure to like, comment, and definitely subscribe so you can catch that episode on Wednesday. Now, I always promise to answer any questions you may have as we are moving through the stream. So I know we have some people watching. That one of the reasons that's why we like to do this live instead of post is because we want you to be able to interact and ask questions. Man, just say hi if you want to. We want to build this community. Of course, everything from art to industry, VR applies across the board, and we want to help bring and merge those experiences together. Um, Sorry for the mic tap. If that hurt your ears, I apologize. hands kind of got away from me. But I get so excited about virtual reality, my hands start moving. Sometimes I can tap these mics. Definitely get some better sound mixing, doing the best with what we have. And, the more likes, comments, and subscriptions we have, the better this podcast can become. All right, so of course it works with OpenXR, VBS Blue, IG, and Prepared. All of these, stay tuned with Austin VR Lab. We will, like Wednesday, we're covering the Autodesk. We're going to be covering Unity. We're going to be covering Unreal Engine. So as you stay tuned with us, you're going to be able to see these examples of how virtual reality is being applied using these programs into your industry. And if you have a specific industry that you would like to see it apply to, go ahead and send us a message in the chat, and we will be sure to cover that on a future cast if we can't already answer those questions. I got the internet right here, so if you got a question, I'm sure I can find the answer if we don't already know. So let's get back into talking about the LiDAR and what that LiDAR is going to do for us. So LiDAR, kind of like we talked about before, is going to have that 3D tracking. And with its depth awareness, you'll have real-time 3D with the XR3 headset. So this is kind of what LiDAR looks like. Each one of those it's forming what we call a point cloud. So as the lasers are bouncing off these figures and bouncing off of objects, it sends information back to the sensor, letting it know how to track the 3D depth of the person or the object. You combine that with a photorealistic pass-through low latency camera, and the possibilities are endless. Super excited about this headset. Awesome. So another way that Varios is using is with their hand tracking and using Ultra Leap. Ultra Leap. We've been with them since they called them Leap Motion. I remember the first time I got my Leap Motion tracker, everyone was like, "Wow, you're a wizard!" Being able to control your computer with hand movements and with gestures. I mean, this is pre-phone gestures, right? So this is able to where it tracks your hand in space and moves it around. Since then, Leap Motion has become a company called Ultra Leap, and so that is going to provide a phenomenal experience, and where you don't have to have that added VR controller, that you'll actually be able to use your hands. Now, a lot of programs don't have hand tracking built into them yet, but that is definitely coming down the pipeline with a lot of developers. Again, we like to implement hand tracking as much as possible. We're actually going to be showcasing a wonderful app called Immersed. Immersed does a pass-through camera through everything from an Oculus Quest to a Vive. I think I'm gonna be able to get the founder on here to tell us a little bit more about it. But definitely, that's why you gotta subscribe, because you don't want to miss that podcast. Now we have also on the Varjo 3 XR3 headset built-in eye tracking at 200 hertz. That gives you foveated rendering. So what eye tracking is going to do is it points the cameras back at your eyes inside the headset. And when you look at something in real life, show you an example here with the camera. So move this up to here. Awesome. So as you see this, right? As you see this, I'm out of focus and the cable is in focus. And then when I move this, it autofocuses back to me. So in real life, when you're looking at something far away, everything that's close up is out of focus, and vice versa. So what eye tracking is going to be doing, it's going to be doing this in reverse. So it's going to be doing it in virtual reality in the VR space. And so when you look at things that are further away from you in VR, it's going to track your eye movement and your pupil dilation, and it's going to adjust the focus. And tracking at 200 hertz is incredible. It's almost unheard of in that VR space. Go ahead and minimize myself so I'm not blocking your view of the screen here. And let's keep talking about this XR3, because this is such an awesome helmet. Of course, you got that halo ergonomic design over the top, take the weight of the headset. We're really looking forward to seeing what this headset is going to weigh, being it has so much technology in it. But Vargas has done a great job in the past, and it looks like they've done another phenomenal job here of distributing the weight to the top of your head and to the back of your head, so it's not pulling your head down if it is a heavy headset. I don't think it says here how much the headset weighs. Always an important thing to consider when you're considering what headset to use. Let's see, what else do they say here? The XR3 is designed with the 3-point precision fit harness, maximum comfort, automatic IPD. So that's interesting. So it looks like that not only when it tracks your eyes, IPD is your interpupillary distance. We kind of talked a little bit about that on our mobile headset podcast where we were talking about all the different mobile headsets. IPD is interpupillary distance. So it's how far apart your pupils are, and that can affect you're focused in virtual reality. And so normally there's either a knob or a slider. In some of the newer headsets, it's a digital adjustment, and it'll move the stereoscopic lenses to match your pupillary distance. Now this says it's automatic IPD, which will be interesting to check. I wonder if you'll be able to go in there and manually change it and how you'll be able to do that. But automatic IPD adjustment is very cool. Active cooling, 90 hertz frame rate, ultra wide, crystal clear for Fresnel lenses. Everyone, of course, says that their lenses are crystal clear and ultra wide, and so really we won't know until we get into the headset. Of course, in this day and age, everything, one of the most important things in passing around headsets is, are we being hygienic, easy to clean? And it says it's, suitable for a multi-user setup. So that probably means removable cushions and removable face pads and easy to clean face pads. And of course, what's important with every virtual reality system is, can you use it with your glasses? So if you wear eyeglasses, are they going to go in? How is it going to support your eyeglasses, and how is it going to keep it off the lenses to keep them from scratching the lenses? Either you scratching the VR headset or the VR headset scratching your glasses. So let's some of the people who are already using some of the companies that are already using the headset. Of course, Kia has great things to say about it. I know Audi has a whole VRaaS experience. Lairdell and Bohemia Interactive. Let's look at some of the technical specifications. We'll run through them real quick. I know for a lot of our customers, this is where they let us take over because they want to do what they're good at, whether they're an architect, a doctor, an educator. Um, some of these specs really, just can go over your head sometimes, and that's why we're here. We can run over them real quick, like I will, and then sometimes not only do we not know what these, not we, but not only will our customers not know what these things mean, but they really won't pay attention to them. They just either want the latest and greatest or the best for their budget. And so let's just go over them real quick. The field of view 115, refresh rate 90 hertz. Of course, the mixed reality that we talked about, hand tracking. Oh, there is the weight, 594 grams. The head plus the headband, which is 386. So pretty much comparable to an HTC Vive or an Oculus Rift, which has been discontinued. So we will no longer be seeing those. But you can compare it to an HTC Vive or a Vive Pro, maybe a little bit lighter. Now the connectivity, it has two. You'll need two USB-C slots, has two DisplayPort connectors, and two USB 3.0s. Um, That'd be interesting. I wonder if it needs both the C and the 3.0. So pretty much going to use up all your USB-C and DisplayPort adapters in basically any computer. Positional tracking, of course. It did say the inside-out tracking, utilizing RGB pass. So it's going to use both. So you'll be able to use the tracking system, looks like, and you'll be able to use the camera tracking. And of course, something that's very important is having an audio jack. So if you want to replace their headphones with your own, you can. Um, yeah, so it's about 2 pounds on your head. So now the Varjo subscription. So having their software is key. You definitely have to have a subscription to Varjo software because there's not a lot of software out there that already supports this natively. Again, this is a higher end industrial headset. Varjo, of course, they have their own partnership with IBM and the ThinkStation, and to be able to provide the best computers to be able to provide this. and it's only a mere 5,495 euros to get your hands on the XR3. Let's go ahead and do a dollars conversion since most of us are going to be buying this headset in dollars, and we will wait for Andre to pass along that number to us. And while we're waiting, $6,679 and how many 23 cents. So, of course, we can do that conversion for you on our invoices if you want to purchase one of these headsets. Also, another reason to go through Austin VR Lab is we can interchange these headsets out. So you don't always have to be investing in the latest and greatest singular system. We interchange these systems throughout all of our clients. So hopefully we can bring an XR3 headset to you one day. And of course, you'll need the base stations. Let's go ahead and look at some of their computers that are going to run the Varjo systems. Now, we'll go for what's recommended versus what the minimum requirement is in the system. So you're going to definitely need the 8-core CPU, Intel i9 or AMD Ryzen 7. That's their minimum and their recommended as far as which models to go with. Now, on your GPUs, this is where you're definitely going to have to step up to an RTX card, and the recommended, of course, RTX 3080. Who wouldn't want one of those, or an A6000? I'm ready for my RTX 3080 as well. And then we also have the lowest end spec on that. So the 3070 is the lowest you can go. Or the 2080 Ti. Those are pretty much side by side. I don't want to say the 3070 is the lowest spec. They both have their pluses and minuses as far as rendering speed goes and benchmarks go. Be sure to tune into our benchmark show when we do that, so we'll be able to show you how these graphics cards compare rendering. Memory, 32 gigs minimum. Now, a lot of our clients who are using either Vive Pros or Valve Indexes, you can get away with 16 gigs, but something like the Varjo XR2 or XR2 even, or XR3, you're definitely going to need to step it up to 32 gigs of RAM. 2 gigs of storage space, that's probably for their proprietary software and subscription. And the connectivity, of course, you'll need, okay, so here's the clarification. You'll need 2 display ports available. So you'll still be able to go HDMI out to an external screen or projector, so you'll be able to see what's going on. You'll need the 2 USB 3.0 ports, and of course, Windows 10 64-bit. All right, so let's go through, and of course, you can either get those through Lenovo. Oh, sorry, I said IBM earlier. The Lenovo ThinkStation. You can get those computers through Varios themselves, or you can have Austin VR Lab build you one of these systems. Or what we can do is we can work with your provider, whether it's Dell, whether it's IBM, whoever your computer contract is with your company, we can work with them to get you that best price and work on a consulting basis. Or again, through our retainer and lease program, you can have one of the Austin VR Lab custom built systems in your space as you need it and as you require it. So we're really excited to be able to provide that to you. Now, let's go just real quick before we leave you here. Are there any questions yet in the chat? Awesome. So with such high-tech augmented reality. Engineering, medical training come to mind. The car was cool. Automatic IPD, that's crazy. No more twisting knobs. Can't imagine exactly. Came at how they will do. So it's probably using the eye tracking, the same eye tracking distance that measures, your field or your depth of view. They're probably using the same tracking technology to measure the distance in your pupil. And when you're using eye tracking, automatic IPD definitely makes sense. Now, Judge Dredd also asking, uh, what can be affected with these high tech, and of course our AEC clients, our architecture, engineering, construction clients, this is a big win for them. Instead of having to, build little cardboard models of a building that you're building in the future, if you can actually put a headset there where someone can get photorealistic depth and see the building as they walk through it via controllers or hand motions, makes a world of difference when it comes to building the building, constructing, or even in sales, if you can walk into your condo and look out the window and see the view and decide, hey, I want it on the 14th floor or I want my penthouse on the 27th floor, it definitely can help make a difference in the sales of a building. Now, one of the cool things about VR is how it's affecting medical training. Medical training is definitely a place where we definitely see this technology being applied. It already is with a headset like the Varjo 3. We are able to do that even in more depth. Now, I believe it was a UCLA study where students are actually scoring higher on their tests by doing their medical training in VR. A lot of states are passing laws reducing clinical hours from 100 to 60. So it's taking medical students a longer time to go through medical school training. And now, if they can replace that clinical training with VR training and then be able to improve on their test scores and their capabilities, which is what their test scores actually probably are meant to judge, is what their capability is in the field, then we can take that and even make it more extreme. So I know a big issue with medical schools is coming up with cadavers and being able to work on the actual human body. Now, if you can make that realistic, right, and you can make that photo realistic, that will only improve the abilities to test, the abilities to practice, and the general overall abilities of the doctors. So definitely the medical field, that is definitely one of the top fields where virtual reality is and will continue to be applied. Now, the next field is in the military and military training and simulators. Even regular training in simulators, whether you're learning how to fly a plane, drive a boat, go to war, or just be an all around better person. I always talk about, it's Neo, like, I know kung fu, right? Well, how'd you learn it? Plugged into the matrix, right? And so the more photorealistic we can be with combining the two worlds with virtual and augmented, the greater that response is going to be from the human brain, therefore rendering better capabilities in the human as far as being able to transport in and out of these worlds and then combine the two worlds on top of each other. So a lot of exciting technology coming up. Great question, Judge Dredd. I hope to meet you one day. Hopefully, we can supply you with a VR experience of your own. Or maybe I already know you. Sorry, I keep bumping into this. So if you're getting a little feedback from that, again, get so excited about VR, my hands start moving everywhere, and hopefully that didn't come through too loud. All right, so let's real quick, the VR3, let's kind of compare it to the XR3. So I believe the VR3 is now you're not going to have that LiDAR system, so we'll compare the two real quick. Visual fidelity, total comfort, it's still going to have your eye tracking, 70 ppd. So this is just going to have forward-facing cameras, it looks like. It's not going to have that LiDAR system to give you that 3D depth. The visual fidelity, so we will look at the difference here in a Kia rendering. So that is with the VR3, and that is with a competing device. So you can see there, especially in the dash there, you can like read the text versus not being able to read the text. I wonder what device they're calling their competitors. But we can see here with the RTX with the ray tracing, you definitely get a clearer reflection. It definitely looks more photorealistic. And it's, of course, design, professional grade, stay immersed, that same ergonomic fit, the compatible software, Unity, Unreal Engine, Steam VR, um, same thing, industry leaders. I'm trying to see if there's any big differences outside of the LiDAR eye tracking with the real 3D depth. I don't see it, so their subscription, you're looking at from a $1,500 subscription to a $795 for the subscription. Interesting that they put that in dollars, but everything else they put in um oh, they everything switched to dollars. Maybe they realized I was actually doing this from the US with their VR3 versus telling me in euros. So now this headset, about half the price. You're looking at about 3,000, about $3,200 plus of course taxes, duty and all that. And so we would love to, you know, get you into one of these headsets. Also, we would love to demo one for you. And as soon as Varjo sends us our headset, we'll be able to get in there and show you exactly what that looks like. We try to keep these streams down to 20 minutes so you can watch us on our lunch break. I know I did go a little bit long today, went 35 minutes, but a lot to talk about here with the XR3 headset. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe for sure. Hit the notification bell. I'm trying to say what all the YouTubers say to get you back in here and back with us to talk about more VR on your next lunch break. It's 42 degrees outside here in Austin, beautiful Austin, Texas, and we are going to go enjoy some of the day. Hopefully, you will too. And we will see you on Wednesday at 11:45 a.m. for VRaaS number 7. So excited to be on this journey with you guys and ladies, and we hope to see you again in the future. Have a great one.